got that power. And we make sure that you know it. Got that pride, go ahead and show it. Stand up, fight back, no time for hoping. Recognize we got that power. We won't stop until we get it. Come on down if you wet it. Wake up, let's go, we're on a mission. Recognize we got that power. And we make sure that you know it. Got that pride, go ahead and show it. Stand up, fight back, no time for hoping. Recognize we got that power.
Good morning, good morning. You're now tuned into the Elife Powe Lunch Show with Dr. Baruch and Chris Murray. How are you?
I am doing great, Chris. I am doing great. How about you?
I am doing great.
It's hot outside.
It's hot. I love it. I'm glad. I'm excited to get out there in the heat for these 2 days, and I guess we'll go back into Mayvember.
Yeah.
It'll
be snowing on Friday. It's the kind of weather we're having. That's the kind of year we're having. It's really interesting. Really interesting year.
It is. Is it just us here in the D.C. area, or is this kind of nation worldwide?
I don't know. There's so much focus now on D.C. and your president. I don't know that there's anything else going on in the world except what we're going to share with you today.
This is true. And speaking of what we're going to share today, our hot topic actually is based in the DC area. I wanted to bring it up. It's actually an older hot topic from like March, but because of our guest today, I think it would be appropriate for us to just kind of bring to the table. Back in March, there was a missing person scare with all the DC teens. And one of the major things with it was that the information that was reported wasn't necessarily accurate. And that's primarily because it's kind of taken across social media, basically. So people get a hold of the story. They don't have all the facts and stuff verified, but they want to be a part of something. They want to help out. And so they start sharing things. They create hashtags and kind of promoting and kind of bringing awareness to it. And it became a national thing. But the issue is that when we do things like this, sometimes it kind of complicates the situation because not all of the teens were actually missing. Most of them were runaways. Some of them had been found. Some of them, like really Sherrod, didn't really have anything to do with the whole thing. So I wanted to bring that to the table, and for so many reasons. There's so many layers of it, of why this is happening, what we're doing, who's involved, how can we share the information without accidentally sharing false information, and kind of get your thoughts on it.
That's a tough one. That's tough in that we live in a world now where information gets out at such a high speed, mm-hmm. in the sense that something could happen in 1 second, and of course it's on Facebook Live,
right.
And somebody's broadcasting it live. You can't get any better than that. Mm-hmm. And when they don't have the same level of concern, or when they don't understand how news works and how they should make sure, they should triple check and double check to make sure that what they're putting out is true and valid. And I would suspect there's some people that are doing it maliciously, and some people that know that they're putting out wrong information or not completely right information, and just so that they can get, in this world of likes, there are a lot of people that just want to see what they can do to increase their likes.
That's right.
Yeah, so it's really something that we need to be mindful of and careful with. It's kind of like a talebearer. When you start looking at sources, and you see these sources repeatedly are putting out information that is not valid, you have to now really triple watch and question whether, in fact, what is being said is the case.
Right. And it seems like since social media plays such a big part in it, they should make it a part of kind of their protocol in how to make it a part of it officially, so that people know if you see X, Y, or Z, this is official. This is something that we definitely want you to share, because the more exposure we get to a person that's missing, the higher the chances are that we can do something to bring them home safely.
That almost sounds like a business. Like if somebody sees a new story, then they should send it through the verified link.
Right.
And this verified link is going to triple check and make sure that what they're saying is in fact the case. And if that's the case, then they'll put the verified stamp. Now it's been verified by Verify.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly, and then that puts us in a position to use it as a tool, because once we have this verified stamp, we know, okay, now we can share this, now we can do more of our part, which we can do by sharing to make sure that we have the correct information.
Even to the level of people who want to contribute money. So if you want to contribute money towards the educational fund of the children whose parents were just lost in a fire. Right. You have people that are going to put false information out there and a false PayPal account, and then you're going to have legitimate people. And we have to have a way to verify and qualify, authenticate that in fact these folk are real, and what's going on is in fact what is really taking place, and it's not just some scammer out there making some money off of the opportunity.
Right, and another layer, like I said, there are many layers to it. Race sort of played a part into it as well, because if it was, I heard you say Miss Ann, it was there. My grandma used that, so when I heard you saying, I was like, yeah, I know what you're talking about. If it's that type of situation, then things don't play out in the same way.
Well, let's bring our guests into the conversation.
Yes, definitely. I'd like to welcome Dr. Arnita Fowler of the Lamont Doughton Foundation, and also joining us, Ms. Reba Burruss-Barnes of Reba Associates.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you.
How are you all today?
Great.
Doing very well.
Enjoying this weather.
That's great. That's great. And you all chime in. What do you all have to say about this social media? How social media is being used, maybe in a good way, but maybe sometimes it gets abused when you're in search of an individual. And I should pull back a minute, because we want our guests to tell us who they are. Who are you? Where are you from? What are you doing? Why did you want to come on the radio today to tell us something?
Hi, my name is Dr. Arnita Fowler, and I want to come today to share with the community and listeners about missing persons. And it's not just a one-day scenario. Missing persons has really become known as a crisis for our nation. And it didn't just start. If you look back over the years, you're going to find that for the past 5 years, as I look back at the numbers, there was 661,000 plus people missing in 2012. And you look at the numbers last year, it was 647,435 missing. So this is not a new situation that's going on. And when you look at it from race, you talked about race. When you look at it from blacks have been accounting for 34% of the missing in 2012, and in 2016 they were 33%. And the noticing thing here is that blacks are only 13% of the population.
Wow.
So that is really a number. But when you look at it from the minority standpoint, which is blacks, Asian, and Indians, you'll find that there are 37% missing.
Wow.
Yeah, and I think that speaks to a number of things. One, it speaks to the family and what is going on within the family that has made it maybe the security. The protocol for security in our community has changed. Because I can remember there was a time when if a new person's car drove down the street back in the day, right, you picked up the phone. You know them?
Right.
You know what that is?
Yeah.
All right,
yeah.
I'll keep an eye on them. We'll make sure that they do what they're supposed to do and they get out of here. If somebody's going around selling new windows and roofing and siding at houses, we're checking.
Right.
Yeah. Did you? They went to your house first. Did you talk to them? Nope. I'm not talking to them either.
Right.
And you let them go. There was a guy who came to my house maybe a week ago, knocking on the door. He wants to do some work on the house. He left his business card, but he only came to my house, it seems. Like, okay, yeah, we got it. We know what the deal is,
Right.
Short of, just putting a shotgun behind the door and answering the door. Hello, how can I help you? It'd just be better maybe just not answer the door. But we need to create a security protocol that, everybody is on board with. And I say everybody, like first off in the household, and then, build outward from there into the community. But we're not in that space. We're not as concerned as we used to be.
Right.
When you mentioned the term as far as social media. Dr. Fowler, I want to mention that we need to say out loud as we first began today about the hashtag Don't Count Us Out, because the minority figures do matter. The information we want to share today does matter. But the thing is, don't count us out. Don't let the color of our pigmentation fool you. We all have families.
Right.
We have grandparents, children in school, families who want to know where everybody is.
Right.
You know, we discussed this morning when you all were setting things up that the neighborhood watch, sir, that years ago was your neighbor who nobody could see behind those curtains, but she was always there.
Right.
You know, where I live now, my neighbors are always watching.
That's it.
Dr. Fowler?
Yeah, Don't Count Us Out is a hashtag that my foundation used last year when we took on the challenge that when my son went missing. I was unaware that there was such a law that excluded people based on age. I'm very sensitive to the challenges we have with human trafficking, and so I appreciate the law that said 21 and under. But as you know, and I know, human trafficking now can go anywhere from 13 and higher to 29. But when my son went missing, I became aware of a law that says anyone 22 and over were not automatically protected, meaning there was not going to be an automatic search launched. And it based on discretion of the person taking the report and the matter of fact how the person who's making the report, are they the guardian? Do they really know that there's a break in the routine? For me, my son, Lamont, was my only child. And he was 19 when he went missing in 1995. And at that time, the law said only those 18 and under could be mandatory reported and searched for. It was surprising to me that we would have such discretion,
Right.
because no matter how old you are, love has no age limit.
Right. Absolutely.
And so neither should the law. And that is why I took on this cause to fight for a new language, to expand the current law, not to get rid of the law that says 21 and under, but there needs to be some inclusiveness where we are protecting all groups of people. So ages 22 and 64 can be looked for when they go missing. And as a result of the advocating, we were able to come up with the law in New York named for my son, Lamont Dotton, that was passed in September of 2016 and became enacted November the 8th. And so today our goal is to take that law to the national level so that there can be avenues and measures taken when an adult is reported missing. Otherwise, you create a class of the haves and have-nots, you know.
Right.
If I have money to hire a private investigator, then I'll be able to look for my loved one if they're over 21.
Right.
But if I don't, then you become like I did, a one-woman search party. And so for 4 years, I searched for my son, and only to discover that they had found my son 6 days after I tried to report him missing, held him in the city morgue for 4 months, and then buried him in Pottersfield for 4 years where he lay while they told me no, that they couldn't help me. And so not 1 week went by that I did not call the NYPD. And so you have to be persistent. You have to be able to take on the challenge. And it's not an option.
Right.
You know, giving up is not an option, because when you're a parent, there is nothing that's going to stand in your way for finding your child. You know,
Right.
they're counting on you to find them, you
Right,
know.
absolutely.
So
Yeah, I was gonna say I couldn't imagine having to go through that. I mean, it has to be unimaginable. But if you can you take us through that process? I see that you have different classifications, categories here on the card. If you do find yourself in that position, what is the process? What do you do? And I guess my assumption is that it varies state to state, but in general, what do you do?
well, first thing I want to let everybody know is, yes, there's a U.S. Code 5779 that says 21 and under must be mandatorily reported. But also, when you look at the FBI report, you'll see that there are 6 categories in which you can be reported.
Okay.
So when you first walk in, they're going to ask you pretty much, how old are they? And rather than investigate before they eliminate based on the fact that you said 22 when the law says 21 and under can be mandatorily reported. So people need to know that there are 6 categories in which you can be report it. For example, you may have a physical or mental disability, or missing under suspicious circumstances indicating that that you may be in danger, or missing after a catastrophic event, or missing under circumstances that says you did not voluntarily go missing. And that there are parameters that say if you're under the age of 21 but do not meet those categories, you can still be reported, or 21 and older and do not meet those categories. So there is no situation where a child or a loved one should not be reported. And that's what's important, is you have to know the law in order to be able to make a proper report.
Right.
So what we are asking people to do is, one, identify a person who can speak for the family and let people know that you're the guardian, and you can say that there's a break in the routine. You can say and prove that there is the person is in danger. And that's what I did not know when I went to report my son missing, is that there were various categories, or that they were going to be age limit. Everyone you talk to, anybody you talk to is going to say, I thought I could be reported automatically. Everybody assumes that we have that right, and you should have that right. But that's not the case. And so we're advocating for that new language where a report can be accepted for a missing adult when they're reported to go missing, because that will close the gap and allow us to still focus on our children who are becoming victims of human trafficking, you know? So there is not a time where we cannot take the situation serious, but we have to investigate before we eliminate. And that is why we have the hashtag Don't Count Us Out. And as well as Love Has No Age Limits and Novice to the Law. So it sounds like a cliche, but it's really what I felt. I mean, for 4 years, life keeps going when your loved one goes missing.
Right.
So now you're forced to live life and survive and not lose your mind, because if you lose your mind, who's going to look for your kid? And that is all that I kept thinking, what kept me going those 4 years.
So the statistics, 37% of the missing in the United States of America are men, women of color.
37% of those who are, minorities, inclusive, color. Yes.
Okay. So, and minorities, which would include?
There include the blacks, Asians, and Indians. And so.
What about Latin Americans or South Americans?
Well, Latin Americans are included and counted with a number of whites. I'm not sure why. I'm doing more research and reaching out to the FBI on that. But they're counted in the number of whites.
Oh, okay. Okay, so now 37% go missing. How many of them get found?
Well, what I can tell you is any time, any day, or any year, there are at least 100,000 active cases. And as of last year, end of last year, there were 88,000 active cases. So they do resolve and close some of the cases. But what you'll find is that...
do they time out? Do some of them just say, okay, we're only going to give this 2 years, and that's it? We can't, if we don't get any leads, or we don't find this person in 2 years, then this case gets closed.
Well, let me just say this. When children go missing, they are, of the 647,000 that went missing last year, 315,000 plus was noted as, was identified cases, for which 303,000, or 96%, was considered runaways. So this is why we say we can't continue to label our kids as runaways or put labels on our kids. We have to be able to investigate. We can't just say they ran away once, they ran away twice, because you don't know what they're running to or what they're running from. And so you have to investigate it. And that's what's critical for me. But yet you have states who will put a different age limit on their kid. They'll stop looking for their kid at 16, or they won't make it mandatory reporting. And what I want the community and listeners to know is that 21 is the mandatory age for reporting. And so no one, it is immorally wrong, or it's morally wrong to lower the age limit at any time. And it's even critical when we just X off people based on race. I was literally told that when I try to report my son missing, that it's not unusual for black men to leave home. Can you imagine? I'm looking for my son. I flew in from the military once I was told he didn't come home. And it was a room, at least 15 police officers, and I was told that it's not unusual. for a person, a black man, to leave home when they have had enough. The person who took my report was a woman in that room.
Wow.
And so we have to be able to have the prayers of our family and support of our community to be able to continue to look, because it's not something that you can take lightly. Hope is really all we have to hold on to. And that is what kept me going. It's just like the scripture where the prodigal son left home, but yet the father never stopped waiting, never stopped watching.
Yes.
That is exactly how it was. For 4 years, I never stopped praying, I never stopped watching, and I never stopped looking for my son. I flew coast to coast for 4 years. And the agony is that there are people still doing that today, looking on their own because they've been, the system will not give them any resources. And that's why we want the law, because when you have the law on your side, you can have access to resources. Otherwise, if it's not an official police report, no one is really going to let you have access to resources.
Well, here's a question I might have for you. You have all kinds of cameras at crosswalks, in churches, train stations, everywhere. And we can't find people. But yet they'll find things on the moon and bring it back. It's just frustrating for anyone who has knowledge of things that can benefit them, things that cannot benefit them. But the cameras, even the police officers, body cams can be off at that moment. You know, so things happen that we have to look at categorically. What category are you working from?
Right,
You know,
exactly.
who are you going to tell this mom, this dad, this child was actually at the corner 5 minutes ago? Then where are they now?
Right. Yeah, and that just speaks to the importance of us, you know, having our people in the right positions. You know, we need insiders. We need people who are familiar with the system, people who are familiar with the law and the process of the missing persons, and, you know, people in the community, the neighborhood watch, and just our families for us to stick together, because things happen, you know, families break up, but that doesn't make an excuse for us not to be looking out for one another, not to report, hey, there's a mysterious car, you know, who's this salesperson knocking on the door, like you guys were saying before. It just brings more light to how important that is, because otherwise they're going to tell us what you know, whatever they can to get us out so they can move on with whatever they were doing. Also, speaking to technology, you know, they can tap into our phones, our iPhones at any time. So like you said, why can't we find people, you know, because it's not a priority.
Well, you know, I think one of the challenges that we have that we can actually work together on as a community is, one, we need to work together to support the petition I have on my website.
Okay.
At LamontDottonFoundation.org, so that we can make the Lamont Dotton law a national law, so that adults can be reported as missing women should they go missing. And secondly, we're also beginning to, you can donate on my website so you can support the development of an app that will allow us to create a repository of our missing, regardless of age. And that is the challenge today. They say media doesn't give us much coverage because, one, there are not enough of us of color in the media room. Whatever the reason is, we can take control of our own situation, and we can create an app where we create the repository so that we have constant coverage and we can share their information across states' lines. It's amazing with all the technology, as you said.
Right.
If someone goes missing in one district or in one area, it's amazing that that report is not sent out across all digital communications. And so we need to come up with our own alert system. You know, people say, why didn't they issue an Amber Alert? And we all know the Amber Alert is for abducted children, so that there's not an overuse or abuse of the system. Well, we don't have to wait for somebody to create an alert for us. You know, we can create our own alert, and that's what we're working for as a foundation, is to create an alert that can be issued for children regardless of age, and regardless of color, and regardless of religion.
Right.
And at the same token, we can be able to push the petition so we can go to the Hill amongst all the foolishness up there and take care of the things that really matter, and that is our loved ones and our children and our families. So the app, the alert system, and the petition for change the law, because I truly believe in prayer. I believe in participation, and I believe in protests and petitions. You know, we can't do one without the other. We really have to stay vigilant on all angles of this situation. And apparently, I believe that we as a society has become desensitized to the issue of missing. It has become accepted in the neighborhood until it hits your door. And then when it hits your door, then everybody get involved. But I'm asking and calling for all churches and all community organizers that on May 25th,
Yes.
which is National Missing Children's Day, to have a prayer vigil, to call the communities together. You never know who's sitting amongst your congregation or your community that has a missing loved one. Unique Harris right now has been missing for 7 years out of D.C. 7 years. And what they'll do is they'll add a new investigator. So you never really have consistency and continuity. And when you try, and she's been trying to raise money for a GoFundMe since her daughter went missing in 2010. And people would donate to all kinds of things, but they won't donate, when someone goes missing. She left 2 sons behind. And so that again, don't count us out, speaks to the children that are left behind of missing persons. When my son went missing, his daughter was 3 years old. So I was trying to raise money for a reward, for information, as well as search for my son. And I was walking up to people on Manhattan and looking to see if that was him. Maybe someone did something to him, and you just don't know. I went to all kind of places looking for my son, because you were turned over heaven and hell.
Right. Yeah.
And
you speak about the statistics again. You talked about the number of open cases. There are reasons why people are going missing. In some instances, there are people who value this individual or aspects of that individual more than, more than the system does, in the sense that the system doesn't offer that veil of protection, and does not put together programs that you're speaking about today. And, the United States government has demonstrated that, it will do what it wants to do. It will go way out of its way to do what it wants to do. We'll build a wall on the, southern border. We can, I've seen in Washington, D.C., we can put an end to prostitution at 14th and U Street. We can see a lot of things come to an end that we want to, bring to an end. But there, at some level, we know that people of color are treated differently, and the value of our life is not the same. It's not only that it's not the same by the government, or it's not the same by people who are unmelanated, I'll call it, but also the people, we don't value our own lives. And when we don't value our own lives sufficiently, then it causes people to kind of scratch their head. Well, if those people don't value their lives, then why should I spend my time that I could be spending with my children? Why should I spend my time, going out to look for or help to support them in this effort? So again, I think it all starts right where you're starting. It starts with you. You're saying that this is something that is important to you. You make it so important. You keep, that squeaky wheel is going to get the oil. It's going to get attention. And sooner or later, somebody else is going to have the same story that you have, and now it's going to be 2 of you. And then it's going to be 4 of you, and it's going to be 10. And you're talking about hundreds of thousands of cases that are open each year.
Yes.
And 37% of our population is going away. We're not talking about the number of us that are dying from high blood pressure, heart disease, diabetes, homicide, cancer, the list goes on. But now there's a whole other category that's going missing. Right. And, we've heard about organ trafficking. We've heard about sex trafficking. Yeah. We've heard about, labor, trafficking. We've heard about all of these different institutions that benefit from gathering up, people and taking them and holding them hostage and turning them into slaves. That somebody is benefiting supposedly from someone going missing. If I were to go missing, somebody has value in me not being present or has value in me being someplace else, doing something else.
Yes.
And, the statistics are how many people end up turning up sex slaves, and those kind of statistics, how many people, and what does that look like? White people will tell you, this is what a sex slave looks like, but black people, we don't talk about that, and we don't know what that experience is like, and we don't talk to people who've been through that, who look like us, who walked down the street next to us 3 or 4 days before they got abducted, and the awful experience they went through, except many times we shun them. It's like, all of that happened to you, we have to figure out internally. Right. We have to figure out how to fix this, because the United States government for 450 years has never demonstrated that it cares more about us than it cares about those that obviously run it. Right. And so we have to elevate the concern amongst ourselves. And like you said, through the churches and other institutions might be one place to go, but I'm even concerned there. I think there was a time when our religious institutions were our protection.
Yes.
They were our voice. And they went out and they defended. We know what Dr. Martin Luther King did, and he represented that organization and pulled many of those people from those bodies of believers to come out and do what they can for us. But in the world that we live in today, I don't see us raising up. I see pastors being more concerned about people, butts in the seats in the pews and generating income than doing what they can to really, help the community. And so it's important that we here at the Elife Powe Lunch bring attention to the work that you're doing. But we have to go beyond this. For those of you in the viewing and listening audience, it's important for you to share this story. We're going to make sure we give your contact information so people can get in contact with you who have a similar story or who might just want to help.
Right.
That we have to come together, and it's not going to happen. It's not going to be. It's like it's not the most comfortable thing.
Yes.
It's going to be an uncomfortable experience to now start coming back together where we once were. But coming back together after all of these years of being predators in our own community, now looking in our own community and saying, we need to look out for one another because we thought we were doing ourselves bad. Now we see other people are really doing us bad, and it's gonna affect me one day. So I need to step up to the plate and protect, and do what we can to link arms and put aside our differences. Because at the end of the day, if somebody's just saying because you look the way you look, you now are being classified and categorized as this, and therefore you'll be treated this way, then all of us that look that way need to realize that we all in this together.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Exactly.
I know when I went to, in order for me to lobby and get this bill passed in New York, it took highway driving, many trips up to Albany. But it also was because of my New York church family. They got on board and they shared the information. They came out to the Walk of Hope that we have every year, and they supported me and held me up. And now I am a member of Alfred Street Baptist Church, and Pastor Wesley has given me his full support and willing to step out in any other kind of way to help out. And again, without the church, I could not get there. I am a church woman, church girl all my life. I believe that I would not have made it this far without the help of God, without the hope. And when I couldn't pray for myself, others were praying for me. And so it takes the community at every angle to make this happen. What the numbers would tell you, and you can make numbers say whatever you want them to say. But then I did my own research and I discovered that, yes, while they tell me that a number of total missing persons reported last year, there was just an increase of 1.9. What you don't know, what they won't tell you unless you research it, is that while the total increase is 1.9, in the minority family of missing, it was an increase of 1.5. So you think about that. 1.5 alone was an increase across minorities, and overall was 1.9. Again, when you talk about 242,000 people of minority color go missing last year.
Wow.
And we haven't even talked about the children, When it comes to the children, there was, like I said, 303,000 that was coded as runaways. The challenge that we have is, like you said, Dr. Burruss, is that we have to come together. This is our problem, and nobody's going to take care of you like you take care of your own. And I know people just doesn't up and disappear. And here's the thing. If I know the law, don't you think the suspects out there know the law too?
Right.
I mean, think about the 3 girls who was kidnapped and held against their will in Ohio. And their captor claimed nobody's looking for you, for the older one. So again, it's becoming aware and become informed, and then support. Don't turn the other cheek and say, I'm praying for you. Pray for me, but support me.
Right.
Exactly.
Very true.
Exactly. And I think it's important, like you said, you guys are coming up with the app and you're going beyond the normal things, because that's what we need, especially in this day and age. Maybe a matter of setting up a Facebook page specifically now that we have Facebook Live. Do your own show. You know, get
Exactly.
up there, have people on there 24/7 reporting and talking about the things that the system's not going to do for us because we have to do it ourselves. You know.
But even with doing your own show, the information that Dr. Brooke mentioned earlier, the term verified link, people will air anything they want to air, you know, and that's become a real concern.
Right.
When children see a concern or they see something on the air, they go, "Oh, I'm gonna do that today."
Right.
Like boys are now wearing masks on their face on the metro bus. So I'm totally crazy. I ask your man, I whisper in his ear, "What's that for? Why is it important to you?"
Right.
He pulled the mask off. There were two little boys beside him going, "I want one too."
Right.
But he realized that example.
Right.
If we cannot see our children where they are and just speak to them and ask them a question, the risk is when it's time to really communicate, we're not communicating.
Right.
I prefer to whisper to a child in his ear, "Why are you doing that?" Just so I'll know.
Right.
Use the generation gap as a communication link.
Right.
But we need a verified link as well, that when a child does say, "I need help today," they really mean it. They're not trying to pull you for your pocketbook.
Right.
They're trying to pull you to help them,
Right.
Yeah.
to mentor them.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And one more thing, sir, as far as people using the church for a base, if the churches would agree, not just one at our church in Virginia, in Office Baptist Church in Office Street, I met Dr. Fowler at a training session one Saturday, and we had a chance to discuss her son and her passion for this law. But until we make a Hallmark card like Mother's Day, Gentrification Day, has to get us in the mix that we are still here.
Right.
Because all our communities are changing. People are changing how they look at us in general. They don't mind closing your local grocery store. Boy, we used to have signs on the milk bottles, on the milk carton rather. There'd be a sign saying this child is missing. Well, now the sign can say this adult is missing, you know, and not wait 5 weeks to report it.
Yes.
48 hours, whatever the terms might be. We want to be able to have Dr. Fowler's son's Lamont Dotton Foundation, thank you, have that project have legs and arms, embrace people to understand what's going on.
Yes.
So I want to tell you both today, thank you for having us on today to discuss Dr. Fowler's concerns for not just this nation, but the whole world, the whole nation.
Yes.
Because right now, the children are the next generation. And if they get reported lost every 5 minutes, no one's going to look for those kids. And though they're lost today, well, no problem. They're just simply the lost. It's not going to work. So we want to really keep pursuing. And I like your idea about having her own Facebook Live. But we need to have, for that, Dr. Fowler, that verified link.
Right.
Yes.
Work it all together. I mean, that's what it's about. Like we all said, it's about the community coming together.
Right.
You know, we don't have to depend on one person to have all the answers and all the solutions.
Like on
Because
Sunday
with
morning.
5 people, you know, 5 experts in 5 different areas. That makes a very, very strong team.
Yes, it is.
So that's what we have to look
And they can use that time on Sundays at the same time at 11:15.
Yes.
And have everybody announce at the same time, this child is missing, this person's missing,
Right.
this adult is missing. And let's do it across the board
Right.
on any given Sunday, but at the same time.
Right.
Because we take communion on Sundays, on first Sunday. We do the right-handed fellowship. We do all kinds of announcements, but then that's passe. It's now done through computers online,
Yeah.
but also at the end of the service they'll post it again.
Right.
Well, let it be a 30-second blurb.
Right.
You know, and those kind of things that we can do, and it's cost effective.
Right.
It's not a big budget item,
Right.
and everyone can see it and hear it and appreciate it.
Well, you know, like Pastor Wesley preached a couple of weeks ago, he says the power of the Holy Spirit is not what you do inside the church, it's what you do outside the church, right? I mean, anybody can shout for an hour, right? But we need someone who can be able to work and pray for the community. Again, you never know who's sitting amongst your congregation.
Right.
And we need to be able to have that moment where we can do a public service announcement
ma'am.
in the church. You know, you may not know who all is missing, but you remember the public service announcement before it's 10 p.m. Do you know where your loved ones are? Sometimes we just need to go back to the basics.
old-time way.
What I'm asking people to do immediately is to go to LamontDottonFoundation.org.
Spell that for me.
It's LamontDotton LamontDottin.org, LamontDottinFoundation.org, and you click on the link that says petition and scroll down and you just sign the petition. And that would help us to be able to have, to give missing persons a greater voice, which is the total objective here. So that when I go to the Hill, I'm able to say, it's not just me who have this problem. It's not just me who want this change. It's everyone in our community who has been effective. We have 200,000 people going missing in our community, and so I'm not moving this bill based on just race. I'm moving this bill based on the fact that we have loved ones of all races, all religions, going missing, of all ages. And it's not a topic. May 25th will come and go.
Yep.
And there would be one event held by one organization, or there'd be a day of movement going on. But at midnight, that movement ceased, and so it's not enough just to have one or two nonprofits working. We have to all become participants. You can follow me on Lamont Dottin Foundation and on Facebook as well. And on Instagram, the handle is Don't Count Us Out. And on Twitter, you can follow me at Arnita_Fowler. That's ARNITA, F as in Frank, OWLER, Fowler. And if you have questions, you can call me at 240-424-9325.
Again?
That number would be 240-424-9325. And there's an address for those who want to just send in a check or you just want to donate. Everything I've done this far has been out of my pocket these past couple of years. And when the bill passes one house and fail another house because of language, it takes another year to get the process going again. So it took me 2-3 years to get this bill done. But it can be done. So just think about what we could do as a community. If we don't change the policy, we're going to still have the problem. And that's why some people say policy doesn't matter. Policy matters. You have to learn how to have change policy and protest. So there's that righteous indignation that we have to have, because we are people of color going missing at a rate like no other race, and I just want to call people's attention to that. So it is a crisis for our nation, but it's also a critical crisis for our communities.
That's it. And is there any other contact information you'd like to share with us for our audience to be able to contact you?
Well, again, I'd just like for you to be able to go to the website at Lamont Dottin Foundation, and please, if you do nothing else to support missing persons, do it now. Today is Wednesday, and Missing Persons Day is next Thursday. If we could take this next 7 days, and if everybody could just get on board and be on one accord, we can get the app done. It takes $30,000 to get the app done, and that's $10,000 increments, from beginning to end to roll it out. So the sooner we raise $30,000, the sooner we can get this app done. And the app would create a repository where we can put the information in for our black and brown children, share it across state lines, and we'll be able to send out push notifications that will serve as our alert. And then we have to reach out to the Department of Justice just to be able to create our own alert. We do not have to wait for anybody else to use their alert or tell us that we can't use their alert. When my loved one go missing, time is of the essence. And I just want you to know that there is no longer a waiting period. I just want to make that clear, that in 2014, they eliminated the waiting period. So there is no waiting period. Make the report as soon as possible. And regardless of age, make the report. But just know, do not be turned away. And so, again, I just want to know, if you have any questions for me, you can reach me at 240-424-9325. Follow me, like my foundation page at Lamont Dottin Foundation. That's LamontDottin Foundation. And Instagram is Don't Count Me Out. I'm a Twitter person, so please follow me at Arnita_Fowler. That's ARNITA, F as in Frank, OWLER. And I appreciate you. And if you have any loved ones missing, send me your pictures. I'm speaking up for everyone. Again, it takes all of us to make this happen. So thank you to New York for standing with me all these years. It shouldn't have to take 16 years to get a bill done. But once I retired from the military, I was able to work full time. And so it took us 3 attempts. So I know it can be done. I just can't do it by myself.
Okay. Great. Well, it's unfortunate that this is the circumstance that has brought us together, but we're thankful that we had the opportunity to share this information with our audience, and prayerfully, we'll be responsible with it and share it with as many people as we can, because it's not a lot of people that care about us like we should be caring about ourselves, and there's not a lot of people who benefit like we do from progress in our community, so I'm excited that you would share this information with our audience, and I look forward to our audience responding.
Yes,
indeed. Chris, again, another really good show, really powerful. And now, of course, we want to thank our sister, Reba Burruss-Barnes.
Yes.
For being a beacon of light and shining that light on people in our community that need a voice and that need, to get that exposure. And we're very thankful for you.
Thank you.
The work that you're doing. As a matter of fact, you're going to be doing some work here at the restaurant in the not too distant future.
Yes,
is that right?
sir.
What's going on?
We're going to present Mr. Derek Johnson as he portrays Brother Malcolm X. That'll be Saturday, May 20th at 7 o'clock p.m. We're going to have guest vendors there as well, part of our sponsoring for the program. And so you're going to have a variety of handbags, books for sale. But the main thing to know is that the program will begin with powerful drumming, a lot of good music, a little humor from poets and humorists that will be there as well. But when Derek walks out in the persona of Brother Malcolm X, he is totally transformed to be Brother Malcolm X. When the program ends, he will be answering your questions still as Brother Malcolm X.
There we go.
And so when children ask a question, they're mesmerized. We had them at the Malcolm X school in Washington, D.C., and the parents had a fit. They loved it.
Wow.
He wore the black suit, black tie, the white shirt, and starched down. And the whole presentation, everyone in the room was like transformed to another level of history. They could touch the history and meet the man. So please consider coming out on Saturday evening. There will be tickets at the door available, and we hope that students will come as well to learn about Brother Malcolm X firsthand. And Derek Johnson is local here in Capitol Heights, Maryland. And we're having the program co-sponsored with, in collaboration with, the company called the
Sisters United?
Yes, sir. Sisters United. Ms. Wasita is the CEO of that organization, and they plan to have a food drive that evening. Non-perishable foods can be bought in to donate to the Sisters United Community Food Bank, also based in Capitol Heights, Maryland. So we have a full program planned. I finished the program this morning, sent to the printer. Pray for me. And Derek already approved it already.
Nice.
But our joy is that we're doing this program again and again. And then beyond this presentation, we want to carry it to the Muslim Museum for a program as well. Waiting for a date for that as well. Have a program there.
Very nice.
So thank you for asking, Doctor. We appreciate it.
Great. Thank you. Indeed. Chris, we've got some other things going on. What is going on? We've got sponsors.
Yes.
Who are some of our sponsors?
Our sponsor, Glamour Dominican Salon, has a special Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. So if you're looking to get your natural hair or your relaxed hair blown out, you can check them out at 8000 Martin Luther King Jr. Highway in Glen Arden, Maryland, not too far from here. Once again, that's $15 off any wash and set or blowout. They do all types of style, color. They do cuts, they do curls, we like straight, they do extensions, the whole gamut. So you can check them out on Facebook and in Instagram at Glamour Dominican Salon.
Great. And we have something else going on. You might not know that much about this, but I actually am speaking here at Everlasting Life under the Chop It Up with Jeannie banner, and that'll be this coming Monday. And we're talking about environmental hazards and the assault on the reproductive organs of our community. You know, we have to at some point recognize that if there was somebody who had like a spray can of exterminator fluid, and you look at what's happening in our community, not just with the missing, not just with the people that are being murdered, not just with the people that are being incarcerated, not just with the people that are dying young from diseases that all of a sudden came out of nowhere over the course of the last 30 years. Not just, I could go on and on and on. You know, not just that they have abortion clinics in our community and fertility clinics in other people's community.
Yes.
You know, when we have to
Yes.
step up to the plate and recognize that, you know, we have a responsibility to ourselves. And part of my presentation is actually going to include a conversation about something that I think a lot of people have gone to sleep on. And I think it's time that we wake up and give strong consideration to not just what we eat, but also what we use to wipe our behind. Now, why is that important? Now, black women rank number 1 in fibroid tumors, endometriosis, and the list goes on of other female reproductive organ issues that women suffer from. But they also rank number 1 in the most unnecessarily performed surgery on the planet, and it's called a hysterectomy on black women. Not just a hysterectomy. It's a hysterectomy on black women. It's the number 1 most unnecessarily performed surgery on the planet. And we rank number 1, which, again, when you take, of course, that organ out of a woman's body, she doesn't produce a child. And before that, the organs are under attack. And my contention and my research has led me to believe not only is toilet paper, but sanitary napkins and tampons and panty liners all have been chemically treated to, you know, cause injury to the user. So we're going to be talking a little bit about that as well. And that's on Monday night with Chopping It Up with Jeannie. Let me go back to that here as soon as I can get all of this done. We're going to talk about that with Chopping It Up with Jeannie on Monday night. That'll be at 7 o'clock here at Everlasting Life. We got some other stuff going on too, don't we, Chris?
We do.
What is that? You got to think about it before I show
Let
you.
me think.
How about this?
Okay, so if you love vegan soul food, Everlasting Life is not your only option. We also have Evolve Vegan Restaurant. That's 341 Cedar Street Northwest. Did I get it right?
Yep.
Got it right. Or Begaritos if you want something quick and cost effective and, you know, to eat on the go. Like I'm always on the go, so the bowls are my favorite. You can check that out. Not too far from Evolve.
2609
2609
4th Street.
4th Street, right?
No.
Steps
no,
away
no,
from
no.
the...
I'm sorry. 6408.
Check us out on
Street.
Facebook and Instagram. You can check out some of the delicious pictures there and figure out what the right address is.
Exactly.
$7. Can I say that again? $7. You get a burrito. Is it a burrito? Am
Yeah.
I making things up? A burrito or a bowl. I always get the bowl. That's why I don't know, but I love the bowl. So anyway, you guys can see I'm a fan of that. Yeah. So, but if you are in Capitol Heights, you know you can visit us 7 days a week at 9185 Central Avenue. We have juices. We have soul food is the best. The macaroni and cheese, #1 seller. You guys
I
want
to stop you with the juices for a minute because we've been coming out with more juices here of late, and they're beverages. And in most instances, I was the kind of the impetus behind it. And the reason is because I realize that people come to Everlasting Life not just for a good meal, but they come to get well. Mm-hmm. And we know that liquids tend to enter into the bloodstream a little easier than solid foods do. So we've come out with a line of juices. We've got the Green Power, which is just that. It's just green energy, all organic. We've got the K Kick, which is a vitamin K kick. And many of us know that these various deficiencies cause imbalances in the body, and then you end up with chronic disease. And I'll just state this in the middle of all of that, that most of us do not suffer from chronic disease. We suffer from chronic nutritional deficiency. Mm-hmm. But the medical doctor doesn't sell nutrition, so he has to create in your mind the idea that you are suffering from a disease. Mm-hmm. Because if he knew, or if you knew that you could eat differently and get rid of diabetes, high blood pressure, heart disease, cancer, the list goes on, then you wouldn't need him anymore. And that creates a problem for his bottom line and for his, you know, his nice car and his nice house and what have you. So we have other drinks as well. We have the Relief Joint to help us reduce inflammation in our joints. We have vegetable juice, Vita Plus, which is another energy drink, and we have carrot juice. So just a couple of the things that we have going on here at Everlasting Life. But that's not it.
There's more.
There's more. Stay tuned. What else is going on, Chris?
Okay, so I'm super excited about this one because it's been a long time coming. It's actually going to happen this time. June 5th, which is a Monday, we're going to be launching our community concierge, which is going to be complete with the design boutique by Chris Murray Media. So if you have a small business, if you have an organization, whether it's a church or a private corporate organization, and you need your brand development, marketing, promotion, social media, if you need advertising opportunities like here on the radio show, we're going to be taking care of all of that. And we're going to be hosting the grand opening reception at noon on Monday, June the 5th, and it'll be ongoing, so you can come, you can drop by, you can set an appointment and get your consultation. We're also going to be linking up with the community because it's called the Community Concierge. That way we can link you to other hotlines and information that you might need about missing persons, because these are things that we need to talk about. That's one of the main issues that we have, these things that we should be talking about. We're not talking about health, we're not talking about who's missing, we're talking about the Atlanta housewives, so we're gonna give us an opportunity to leave all that behind and get what we need, the real deal, here at Everlasting Life. So again, that's going to be on Monday, June the 5th. We also have movie night, which is very exciting. This is every Friday night, but this Friday night, the movie Alkamar, I know she called in yesterday about it. Very exciting, from 7 to 9 p.m. You can come out, make it a family night, make it a date night. We have popcorn and the regular menus there, but there's popcorn and good conversation afterwards, which is a plus because you not only get to watch it among friends, you can talk about it too right after.
Yeah. That's it. And also we have the Solstice Bazaar, which took place just a couple of weeks ago with the marquee personality, Professor Griff, being here to not only market and sell his wares, but also to teach us about what it is that we need to be mindful of with regard to the hip-hop industry and how we need to protect ourselves from the damage that is being done there. So that's the Solstice Bazaar, the pop-up bazaar here every first Saturday of the month at Everlasting Life. I think we're probably at the end now, Chris.
Yeah.
Could I just say thank you again?
Yes.
And to reach my office, Reba Associates, the number is 301-420-0000.
Great.
And email RebaBarnes@AOL.com. Thanks
Great.
for a wonderful day.
Yes,
Great.
thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for
Thank
joining
you.
us.
Thank you.
All right, Chris, send us home.
Yeah, that was a lot. So I hope you guys are going to replay this and share it. This has been the Elife Power Lunch Show with Dr. Baruch and Chris Murray. Until next time, take care, guys.
Wake up, let's go, we're on a mission. Recognize we've got that power. And we make sure that you know it. Got that pride, go ahead and show it. Stand up, fight back, no time for hoping. Recognize we got that power.